Welcome to Wednesday Insights. The conversation theme started to speak to me over the weekend, asking for some airtime to be brought into Wednesday Insights. There are, of course, many different layers to attend to when shedding light here. The conversations we share are directly correlated to the conversation we're having with ourselves. The latter often stands in our way of truly connecting. Having conversations is one of the most important practices when a family chooses to embark on a depth coaching journey to learn the art of conscious parenting. The past years, quite a few parents and their teens have found me to help them work through and break through some of the challenges they were experiencing. For the parents to strengthen their toolkits as travel companions, and for the teens to become better equipped to juggle a life in a full spectrum. This includes meeting the parents and their little people, understanding the multiple layers of conversation taking place. Our first step is to dive into the level of conversation that is shared in this moment. Many of them are stuck at the usual, what's for dinner, have you done your homework, please do your chores, and so on. And then there are the more noisy conversations like disagreements and fights. I'm immediately catapulted to a train ride I was having in March this year when I visited Denmark. Denmark is my country of origin. I was sitting in the family section where several tables and seats are neatly grouped together for families to be together. Everything is kind of set up for a cozy train ride. What immediately jumped at me was that none of the families I was surrounded by in the train that morning were actually together. I was observing a mom and dad and their son. They were seated to my right, and the son must have been between 10 to 12 years of age, and he was watching his parents very closely, often trying to get their attention. Both of them were captured by their cell phones. I was sitting next to them for a couple of hours, and not once was there a spark of connection from either of their parents, no matter how hard the son tried. The mom looked up a few times and reminded the son that upon arriving home, it's bedtime, and remember you must prepare your school bag for school tomorrow before going to bed. And at the table where I was seated, right in front of me was a mom, a dad, and their 10-month-old girl. And they were settling in for the train ride. And the first thing they pull out of their bag is an iPad for the baby. I know it's tempting, and I'm certainly not a saint. Also, I have made use of a movie once in a while as a babysitter when my kids were younger. Fortunately, back then, technology was not as all-consuming as it is today. However, I certainly know the temptation of spending hours and hours in a world far away from the one right here. The train ride left me with a couple of reflections. The first one being the cost of disconnection. Do we really understand how harmful it is? And secondly, we must get so much better at investing in our connection with our children and each other. And we must be very careful how much technology gets in the way. Back to the session space. The first many months with the family in process, the first step is having a conversation that goes beyond the usual stuff. The most impactful processes are when both the child and the parent choose to work on their own inner conversations so as to better meet and share in a space of learning alongside each other. It is profound to experience when a parent begins to see the child as a teacher, and instead of pointing out all the difficulties all the time, begins to recognize the invitations for growth, growing as an individual and as a parent who understands the privilege of raising a child. From my own student mom experience, raising 2 kids and getting us safely through the bumpy ride of their teens, I was constantly invited to look underneath the surface and to attend to what I like to refer to as the process underneath the process. I had to raise my own inner child as well, engaging in that inner conversation, allowing for the maturation to take place so that I could add value to the shared conversation I was having with my kids in that moment and not detract from it, so that I could truly listen and show up as a travel companion. Life is not a walk in the park. If I'm disengaged, how on earth will my kids get safely through it?